Dear child, angel numbers have long been considered messengers from the universe, gentle nudges guiding us toward our true path. Among these, Angel 1313 stands as a powerful symbol of transformation, specifically about recognizing when resistance isn't meant to be overcome, but rather heeded as a sign to change direction. Many of us have been taught that success means pushing through obstacles at all costs. We celebrate stories of persistence against impossible odds, of people who refuse to take no for an answer. There's truth and value in this perspective. Determination and resilience are indeed crucial qualities. But this singular focus on pushing through can blind us to an equally important life skill: discerning when resistance is actually redirection. The essence of Angel 1313 is this wisdom, learning to distinguish between obstacles that are testing our commitment and those that are cosmic signposts, redirecting us toward a more aligned path. It's about developing the awareness to recognize when the universe is whispering, not this way, but that way. Like, share, subscribe. Let's keep this going. Consider the story of Maya, a brilliant architect who spent years working at a prestigious firm. Her colleagues admired her talent, and her superiors recognized her potential. Yet something felt perpetually off. Projects that should have brought fulfillment left her drained. Promotions that should have excited her filled her with dread. She suffered chronic headaches, insomnia, and a persistent sense of disconnect. I was doing everything right, Maya would later explain. I was climbing the ladder, building my reputation, securing my future, but it felt like swimming upstream, exhausting and unnatural. I kept pushing because that's what successful people do, right? They don't give up. Maya's turning point came through a series of seeming misfortunes. A major project fell through. A promotion she'd been promised went to someone else. Her apartment flooded during a storm, destroying years of work. Within 3 months, everything she had built began crumbling. I was devastated, she recalled. But in the quiet aftermath, once the panic subsided, I felt something unexpected. Relief. It was as if I could finally breathe. That's when I realized these weren't obstacles to overcome. They were signposts pointing me in a new direction. This is the message of Angel 1313. Not all resistance is meant to be pushed through. Sometimes, resistance is the universe's kindest way of saying, this isn't your path. The number 1313 combines the energies of its components. The number 1 appears twice, amplifying its influence of new beginnings, independence, and initiative. The number 3 also appears twice, doubling its resonance with creativity, self-expression, and growth. Together, they create a powerful message. It's time for a new beginning, one that allows your authentic creativity, 3, to emerge. When we encounter persistent resistance along a certain path, Angel 1313 invites us to consider a profound question. What if this difficulty isn't testing my determination, but redirecting my attention? What if the universe has something better in mind for me? Something more aligned with my true nature and purpose? This isn't about abandoning commitments at the first sign of difficulty. The wisdom of Angel 1313 is more nuanced. It's about developing discernment, learning to recognize the difference between growth-inducing challenges and soul-draining resistance. Consider these signs that resistance might be redirection. The resistance feels soul-draining rather than challenging in a growth-oriented way. You find yourself constantly exhausted rather than invigorated by overcoming obstacles. You've pushed through multiple barriers, but instead of clearing the path, new obstacles continuously arise in the same pattern. Despite external success or progress, you feel an increasing sense of disconnect or misalignment. Physical symptoms manifest: insomnia, chronic pain, digestive issues, or other stress-related conditions that don't resolve despite addressing them directly. Synchronicities and unexpected opportunities keep appearing, pointing toward an alternative direction. When Maya finally paid attention to the signs, she took a sabbatical from architecture to process her next steps. During this time, she volunteered with a community organization helping redesign spaces for children with special needs. What began as a short-term project awakened something profound within her. I discovered I still loved architecture, but I loved it in a completely different context, she explained. Designing spaces that help children thrive gave me an entirely different kind of fulfillment than working on luxury high-rises or corporate headquarters. Today, Maya runs her own firm specializing in sensory-friendly design for educational and therapeutic spaces. The work energizes rather than depletes her. The obstacles she encounters feel like welcome challenges rather than soul-crushing barriers. Looking back, I can see how every failure in my previous career was actually guiding me toward this path, she reflects. The universe wasn't saying no, it was saying not this, but that. The story of Angel 1313 is fundamentally about trust. Trusting that the universe has your highest good in mind, even when the path forward seems unclear. It's about developing the courage to change direction when persistent signs indicate you're swimming against the current of your true destiny. This perspective doesn't diminish the value of persistence. Rather, it elevates the importance of discernment alongside it. True wisdom lies in knowing when to push forward and when to pivot. Both skills are essential on the journey toward an authentic, purpose-driven life. Consider the journey of Tariq, a talented musician who spent a decade trying to make it in the music industry as a performer. Despite his undeniable talent, every opportunity seemed to evaporate just as it appeared promising. Record deals fell through, band members moved on, tours got canceled. I was bitter for years, Tariq admits. I thought the universe was against me. I kept pushing because I believed that's what artists do. They suffer for their art and eventually break through. The turning point came when Tariq took a temporary job at a music therapy center to pay the bills. Working with patients recovering from traumatic brain injuries, he witnessed firsthand the healing power of music in a completely different context. One day, I was helping a stroke patient who couldn't speak but could still sing, Tariq remembers. When he managed to sing a full verse of his favorite song, something shifted inside me. I realized music could be medicine, not just entertainment. Today, Tariq is a certified music therapist who also composes healing soundscapes used in hospitals and wellness centers worldwide. His music reaches far more people than it likely would have as a performer. The resistance I faced wasn't blocking my musical career. It was redirecting it toward a more meaningful expression, he explains. I'm still a musician, but now I'm the kind of musician the world actually needed me to be. The wisdom of Angel 1313 reminds us that the universe often speaks through patterns of resistance and flow. Areas of persistent resistance despite our best efforts might be cosmic signposts guiding us toward paths of greater alignment. Conversely, experiences of flow, where opportunities unfold with relative ease and synchronicities abound, often indicate alignment with our true purpose. This isn't magical thinking, it's practical wisdom. When we force ourselves down paths fundamentally misaligned with our authentic strengths, values, and purposes, we encounter resistance on multiple levels: physical, emotional, circumstantial. Our energy depletes quickly, our immune system weakens, our enthusiasm wanes, obstacles multiply. Conversely, when we align with paths that honor our authentic nature and contribution, we access reserves of energy we didn't know we had. Solutions appear more readily. Supportive people enter our lives at just the right moment. Doors open with less force required. Lisa, a former corporate attorney, describes this contrast vividly. In my legal career, everything was a struggle. I performed well enough, but it cost me everything: my health, my relationships, my peace of mind. When I finally listened to the signs and transitioned to conflict resolution and mediation work, the difference was astounding. I still work hard, but it doesn't deplete me. I still face challenges, but they energize rather than crush me. The key insight of Angel 1313 is learning to distinguish between two types of challenges: those that stretch us toward growth within our zone of genius, and those that break us because they're fundamentally misaligned with who we are. Growth-oriented challenges feel invigorating even when difficult. They stretch our capabilities, but leave us feeling expanded rather than diminished. Misalignment challenges, however, consistently deplete us. They might be achievable, but only at the cost of our well-being and authentic expression. This distinction isn't always obvious. Sometimes what feels like misalignment is actually growing pains as we develop new capacities. Sometimes what feels like alignment is actually comfortable complacency. Discernment develops over time as we pay attention to the more subtle indicators of alignment and misalignment in our lives. Physical symptoms often serve as reliable indicators. Our bodies communicate wisdom our conscious minds might overlook. Persistent health issues that emerge or intensify when pursuing certain paths deserve our attention. They might be our body's way of saying, "This direction doesn't serve your wholeness." Emotional patterns provide additional guidance. Does a particular path consistently trigger anxiety, dread, or resentment, even when you're succeeding by external standards? Or does it generate a sense of purpose and meaning even amid difficulties? Our emotional responses contain intelligence about our alignment. Energy levels offer another clue. Aligned paths energize us even when challenging. Misaligned paths deplete us even when externally rewarding. The message of Angel 1313 invites us to pay attention to these subtle indicators, rather than pushing through at all costs. It reminds us that changing direction in response to persistent resistance isn't giving up. It's wisdom. Consider the journey of James, who spent 15 years climbing the corporate ladder in finance. On paper, his career was a spectacular success. Prestigious positions, excellent compensation, industry recognition. But inside, James felt increasingly hollow. I developed insomnia, high blood pressure, and anxiety that no amount of meditation or medication seemed to touch, he recalls. I kept pushing because I thought that's what successful people do. I had no other vision for my life. A heart attack at 40 became James's wake-up call. During his recovery, he began questioning everything. Why was he pursuing a path that literally threatened his life? What was it all for? What would truly constitute success for him? I realized I'd been living someone else's definition of success, James explains. My father had struggled financially all his life, so financial security became my primary driver. But once I achieved that, I had no deeper purpose guiding me. During his recovery, James reconnected with his lifelong love of teaching and mentoring. He had always enjoyed training junior colleagues, but considered it a side aspect of his real work. Now, he began to consider whether it might actually be his central calling. Today, James teaches financial literacy to underserved populations, while also mentoring young entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds. His health has stabilized, his energy has returned, and he experiences a sense of purpose that eluded him during his corporate ascent. The heart attack wasn't just a medical event. It was a message I couldn't ignore, James reflects. The universe had been sending gentler messages for years through my declining health and happiness, but I wasn't listening. Sometimes we need a major wake-up call to change direction. Angel 13. 13 doesn't always communicate through dramatic events like health crises. More often, it speaks through patterns we can notice if we're paying attention. Recurring obstacles in certain directions, unexpected opportunities in others, synchronicities that seem to point toward particular paths. Developing this awareness requires cultivating present moment consciousness. When we rush through life on autopilot, focused solely on predetermined goals, we miss the subtle guidance available in each moment. We push through resistance that might be redirecting us toward more aligned paths. We overlook synchronicities that might be illuminating new possibilities. The practice of mindfulness, bringing non-judgmental awareness to our present experience, creates space for this guidance to be recognized. Regular periods of stillness and reflection allow us to notice patterns that might otherwise remain invisible amid the noise of busy lives. Journaling can amplify this awareness, helping us track recurring themes, persistent obstacles, and unexpected opportunities. Over time, patterns emerge that might not be visible when viewing isolated events. Equally important is developing trust in our inner knowing. Many of us have been conditioned to prioritize external validation and conventional measures of success over our internal compass. Reconnecting with our authentic values, strengths, and sense of purpose provides a crucial reference point for discerning aligned paths. Elena, a former marketing executive who now leads wilderness therapy programs, describes this inner knowing. Deep down, I always knew marketing wasn't my path, but I was good at it, and it provided the external validation I thought I needed. It took years of increasing misery before I finally trusted what I'd always known, that my purpose involved helping people heal through connection with nature. The journey of Angel 1313 isn't always about dramatic career changes or major life overhauls. Sometimes the redirection is more subtle, a shift in approach rather than destination, a refinement of purpose rather than a complete reinvention. Consider the story of David, a teacher who loved education, but found himself increasingly burnt out in the traditional classroom setting. Rather than abandoning teaching altogether, he paid attention to which aspects energized him and which depleted him. I realized I loved the one-on-one mentoring moments, but struggled with the administrative aspects and crowd control, David explains. Instead of leaving education, I shifted to developing and leading experiential learning programs with smaller groups in outdoor settings. David still teaches, but in a context that honors his authentic strengths and working style. The resistance he experienced wasn't saying, "Stop teaching." It was saying, "Teach differently." This is the nuanced wisdom of Angel 1313, learning to decipher the specific message within the resistance. Sometimes it's guiding us toward a completely new path. Other times it's refining our current direction, helping us align more fully with our authentic expression within our chosen field. The journey of discernment isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing practice. As we evolve, so too does our path of alignment. What served us beautifully in one season might become constraining in another. Angel 1313 reminds us to remain attentive to the subtle signals of alignment and misalignment throughout our lives. This perspective invites a fundamental shift in how we view life's journey. Rather than seeing it as a linear progression toward predetermined goals, we might envision it as a continuous dialogue with the universe, a co-creative dance where we offer our authentic gifts and remain attentive to the response. In this dance, resistance becomes valuable information rather than merely an obstacle to overcome. Flow becomes guidance rather than just good fortune. Each experience offers wisdom about our alignment if we're willing to receive it. The message of Angel 1313 ultimately offers liberation from the exhausting belief that success requires forcing our way forward, regardless of the signals we're receiving. It reminds us that the universe supports our highest expression and communicates continuously through patterns of resistance and flow. When we learn to recognize resistance as potential redirection rather than just an obstacle, we open ourselves to paths of greater alignment and fulfillment. We stop fighting unnecessary battles and start flowing with the current of our authentic destiny. This doesn't mean the aligned path is always easy. Meaningful growth still requires effort, commitment, and courage. But there's a profound difference between the productive struggle of growth within alignment and the soul-crushing struggle of persistent misalignment. Angel 1313 invites us to trust that when doors repeatedly close despite our best efforts, perhaps wonderful new doors are waiting to be discovered. Doors leading to expressions of our gifts that serve both ourselves and the world more fully. The next time you encounter persistent resistance along your path, consider the possibility that it might be redirection rather than just an obstacle. Pause. Listen. Pay attention to the subtler signals of your body, emotions, and energy. Notice any recurring patterns or synchronicities pointing toward alternative directions. Give it a like, share it with your network, and subscribe for upcoming content you won't want to miss. And remember the wisdom of Angel 1313. Not all resistance is meant to be overcome. Sometimes the greatest act of courage is changing direction in response to persistent signs. Sometimes the universe says, "Not this way," because something more aligned with your true nature and contribution awaits discovery. This is not giving up. This is growing up, developing the discernment to recognize when resistance is a teacher strengthening you for your path, and when it's a signpost guiding you toward a better one. Amen.